The water board will come to order. Roll call, please.
President Pearson,
Present.
President Pennell, excuse me, Member Pennell,
Here.
Member Ferrer. Here.
Before we get into the actual agenda, we're going to ask for a moment of silence for a past employee, Mr. Ed Costa, who was a foreman with the water department. So if you would, please, for a moment. Thank you. At this time, we'll read open meeting law. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit this meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. Mr. Thurman, if you would, please.
Item number 1, we have citizens' input. Is any citizens that would like
The
to?
only two citizens we have are item number 2.
This will be,
We'll go on to item number 2.
So we have customer appeals of abatements. First one is 381 Pine Street, which Mr. Gonzalo is here. So we had offered a credit of $465.19 based on the mathematical calculation according to the abatement policy. Sent Mr. Gonzalo the standard letter, and he signed and asked to be heard by the board. Mr. Gonzalo, the floor is yours.
Good evening.
evening.
I had a toilet that was leaking, and the tenant didn't tell me for quite some time, obviously, because I only have 4 out of 6 rented at the time. There's 1 person per unit, so the bill's usually, I don't know, between $400 and $500. And when she decided to tell me, I went right out there within an hour and took care of the problem. It was just inside the toilet, the float thing hanging up. It was a very simple thing. And so it started in the end of one quarter, I take it, and it went into the next quarter. And I've never had a problem like this in 15 years. I was just wondering why they didn't take, you know, the 2 quarters where the problem arose, because they can see the average, what my bills are. So this problem was at the end of one quarter, went into the next quarter a little bit, obviously. And I asked them, why didn't they, you know, do it like that and then give me a break, you know?
So the
That's what I
policy,
was wondering.
the policy calls for, we take the biggest quarter. We take the average of a year of 4 quarters of what your average usage is. Then we take the highest quarter when the leak occurred. And that was the quarter that was billed as September of 2018. So prior to that, you were at normal use. September of 18, the use went way up. December of 18, it was still high, but dropping. In March of 19, it's back to normal. So the policy clearly specifies that only 1 quarter can be utilized. So we take the average of 4 for the prior year, we take the highest quarter, and we take that overage, and we cut 50% of that out. So it's a direct mathematical calculation. It's nothing that we decide on a case-to-case basis. It's pure math. It was done that way so that we wouldn't have disputes of favoritism. So the bill, the usage has to double, which was more than doubled when that leak was occurring. We took the highest quarter, and based on that, we made the calculation that came out to the offer that was $465.18. So we've never, for a customer, taken multiple quarters. The policy is very, very clear that it's the one highest quarter that we need.
Are there any questions by the commissioners? Are you happy with that settlement?
I'm sure he's not happy with the settlement, but hopefully understands.
It's a lot better than nothing.
Explanation.
So
Yeah,
you
but
you understand how we came to that, right?
Yes, yeah, that's,
yeah, it's pure math, and to be honest with you, prior to, I think, 2015, there would have been zero. There was no abatement program, but at the request of the Water Board and the City Council and the Mayor's Office, we checked around the country, we took pieces, and we made this particular program, which I think has been actually very, very good, because when leaks occur, it's given a bit of an out for the customer, but it does restrict it to that 1 quarter, and it does restrict it to once every 5 years, too, so.
yeah, I've never had a problem with it. This is the first time in 15 years like this.
Do we have the policy in writing?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's-
And that gets sent out when?
Yeah, it's
with-
posted up on our website.
Okay.
If any customer asks, we give them a copy of it.
Okay.
And it is in writing and was approved by the City Council
Yeah,
and the Water
by us,
Board
yeah.
back in 2015 in that form. And having it very specific by the mathematics has been really helpful.
Do we require a vote on this?
Any
Motion.
further comments? Mr. Consul
No.
made his case. The board can make a vote to keep the abatement as is, or change it if it finds anything that doesn't conform within the policy.
Chair would make a motion as Mr. Sullivan just stated. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
So be it.
So the abatement will remain at $465.19.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Sullivan?
Next is 1279 South Main Street. Mr. Monas is here. In his case, he has a 6-unit building. In his case, the water usage did not double, so at the last meeting, he was denied any reduction at all. I believe, I'll give the floor to Mr. Monas, because I think his complaint is outside of the normal leak abatement protocol that we go through.
Good evening. I have a problem speaking because I went to the dentist this afternoon, and
Good
I'm
timing.
a mess. I'm a mess. But the thing is, they're working on the street for 3 weeks, and then when they bypass the water, all kinds of stuff went in there. And I had like 3 toilets running, and the tenants, one of the tenants had shut off the toilet, and the other 2 never did. Even I have pictures here where they try to push the ball, like the band for the water to stop, but the valves are all stuck. And I also had to change 2 faucets because it was not running appropriately. It was like just a little bit, because all the matter, all the stuff came to the inside the house when they opened the water. If I noticed that, I would be there. But this never happened before. You know what I'm saying? Because I always like spend, I owned that property like for 20-some years. My latest bill is like 5-something, 6-something, and this last one was 1,000-something. The one before was $900 something. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not here because if the tenants use the water, that's okay, I'm here to pay. But this is what happened. And I have pictures if you guys want to see the toilet, and the faucets I changed. I'm not making things up, I'm just saying what it is, you know. I went to buy 3 toilets, I went to buy 2 faucets, you know. I'm not here for, you know, just crying for nothing, you know what I'm saying? Because my bills over there was like 5-something, 6-something. I never had like a $900 some bill or $1,000 some bill. Because I have one person here, one person there. I don't have 20 people living in the house. You guys can see, you know, go back like a year or 2, and you can see the numbers is very low.
But if you go back a year or 2, the volume of usage is equal to the time that you had the problem. Prior to your reported problem, you had 3 low quarters, but all of 2017 was up in that same range.
I know people in $1,000. I pay like 6-something, was one time, I think was 7 something, you know.
So I think you're showing the bill history to them that's in the board's package.
Yeah, I'm
This
looking
that's
at
in
it.
the packet. So this is your history, so this is the use per day on average, and this is the bill. So there's the two big bills you were talking about.
Same one.
If you go back through 2016 and 17. the
Yeah, I had a
usage was
couple of
up.
problems there too, but I never came and complained. The only reason I complained is because when they were working on the street, you
Okay,
know what I'm saying?
I'm just trying to answer your question.
Yes,
Since you
I mean-
never had it in that range and through that whole period.
I thought it was a long time ago, it
Yeah.
was $900 there, yeah.
Yeah. So, I guess two things to discuss. So, because of his volume of usage, his mathematics do not fit in the leak abatement program. His average is nowhere near double of what the usage. I guess the secondary thing to consider is what Mr. Moonis provided bills of replacing 2 faucets and a toilet. That-
3 ton.
only that,
Yeah, there were 3 toilets on that last receipt,
oh,
3 at 99.
So, although this doesn't fall under the leak abatement program, what it should or could be, it could be referred to the law department for a claim, or if the water department wanted to deal with it, we could deal with it here. So, I thought that was 1 toilet for that price, so if it's 3
No,
toilets,
it was like $100 some. Was the reasonable as I bought.
Yeah,
It's
a
much
reasonable toilet is
Yeah.
$89, $99. So
No, it was-
come
it
on,
was
what
more than that.
kind
It
of
was
toilets
100.
do you have in your house?
That's why I was a little surprised.
It was $129, 115,
I'm just gonna go visit him and use the toilet, I wanted to see what.
One of those ones that
No, it's a nice one, believe me.
Flushes when you get up.
So, so for discussion, the leak abatement program does not apply. It doesn't fit the parameters. The board could consider either referring this to the law department, or because the devices that were changed are relatively low cost, the board could consider approving that. Now, I'm not verifying or saying that our water main work caused that, but we did do water main work in South Main Street in that area, so the potential is there. So the board, his receipts total $398.44. Let me ask, if that were approved, would that close the matter for you?
Yeah.
I'm not telling the board what to do,
Yes.
but we did do work in front of his house. He has been a good customer for a long time. If the board wanted to approve as a claim that amount to close this matter, could do that, could deny the claim, bounce it up to the law department. It clearly doesn't fit the leak abatement. But in that policy for the leak abatement, there is some general language that the board can consider other unusual causes. Looking at the payment history on his properties, given that it is 3 toilets, $315, and not 1 toilet, I would suggest to close this matter, we could approve a payment of a claim for $398.44 and close the matter.
Is there a motion to do just that?
I agree.
I would second, I feel comfortable with it.
The motion is unanimous.
Okay, so that would be put as a credit on your account?
You understand, you're not gonna get
Yes.
$398.44 from us. However, your account will be accredited.
Credited.
I appreciate that.
If you have any
Okay.
questions, you can always call and talk to Mr. Ty right behind you,
Okay.
okay? Thank you, sir.
I have no questions. I'm
Okay,
satisfied.
You're all
Okay.
set. You're good, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,
I can go.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
Yes, sir.
yep.
Yes, sir.
Well, you
That
can
was
stay
easy.
too if you
That was
want, you
easy.
don't have to go.
That was easy.
All right,
We're
thanks a
gonna go
lot.
through
You
the
guys have a
boring
good
part
night.
now.
You too.
Thank you.
The next appeal is 880 Grinnell Street. According to Alex or Cindy, I think Alex, they've been emailed and they've been left a message. There's been no response. Historically, we've given one chance that we would table this matter, send them notification for the next meeting. If there's no response, then that matter, we would deny their secondary appeal. So my recommendation would be to table the matter for 880 Grinnell Street.
Motion to table?
Second to the
I'll
motion.
second.
Motion's unanimous. Mr. Farrell, next
Is
item
that,
on the
do you
agenda.
have that happen a lot?
We haven't had many secondary appeals in many years. We've had a few, and there have been one or two, more so on the sewer commission side, back in '08, '09, '10. There were hundreds and hundreds of appeals on the new stormwater fee. And so we'd be scheduling 10, 20 appeals a night, and some would not come, and we followed that process. If they didn't come after the second attempt, then we would just...
Now, this is a question off the top of your head. Do any of those, do a number of those appeals end up being language barrier problems?
No, that hasn't been an issue. We certainly have several Portuguese-speaking employees in the two divisions, and if it's another language, we'll just track somebody down. But they filed the application, they wrote out the application.
True.
So if there's an issue, we try to deal with it.
Item number 3, minutes of the previous meeting, they were provided to you in your packet. If there is any comments or questions, you can entertain them at this time. If the board has had time to review them, if not, please review it.
If there are no comments about the previous meetings, I'll make a motion to accept the record.
Second?
Second? Third?
Unanimous. That's for the fourth show.
The next item, item number 4, would be abatements. Within your packet, you provided a list of abatements that were either approved and denied in the proposed resolution column. The total that within all the items that were provided is in total of $3,147.24.
Chair would make a motion to accept the report.
I'll motion.
Second.
Motion's unanimous.
Thank you. Item number 5 is the Phase 19 loan order. This loan order is in the amount of $4,950,000. As the board well knows, we've been working on our water system rehabilitation projects now for 19 years. This is currently the 19th phase. We've had very good luck in results with the water system rehabilitation projects that we've been doing. Up on the screen, you'll see to the left-hand side a fire hydrant with some orange water coming out of it. Prior to the rehabilitation and replacement of about 65 miles of tuberculated mains within the city, a lot of the fire hydrants look like that. The center picture is a picture of a highly tuberculated 6-inch cast iron main. We have some right on the shelf over here as well. Bottom right-hand corner is the new ductile iron double cement line pipe that's installed to replace that cast iron main. So you go from a hole less than the size of your pinky finger to an 8-inch diameter main. And you don't have any of that tuberculation or runoff. You get proper flow for fires and to our customers. So we've been doing this now for 19 years. Like I said, we've replaced about 65 miles of main. We probably have about another 40 of that old 40 miles of that old tuberculated main to go. Within the Phase 19 project, we're looking at about $2.5 million, 2.65 in SRF funding to be spent on water main replacement and lead service removal. So again, we have lead services within our system. We have about 780 left that are recorded from the curb stop out to the main. We've been working to replace those over the past 15 years, and we continue to do that through this program as well. Also within there is $1.5 million for the continued construction Phase 2 garage area of the water maintenance complex. We have some additional funding for some paving, conservation and land acquisition. So we've been having some good luck working with some of the areas that we've been trying to purchase conservation land for many years for preservation of our water supply, and we'd like to keep that going. The other thing that we also have within this is $100,000 for a redundant line study from the plant. So this is a placement study. So within our master plan, we have identified to run a secondary redundant line from our plant out to the Bedford Street area. That would have been extremely helpful in the past couple of months when we had a leak on the main 36-inch line that fed from the plant. We had to run a temporary bypass. If this other line was within that, now, we could have switched to that line and ran that line. The one issue that we have in this area that this is going to look at is a placement study on where to run this line. We know where we need to get it from and where we need to get it to, but actual route to run this, because that's an area that's high in ledge, different soil conditions. We have the highway to contend with, the interceptor drain. There's many obstacles, so we need to find the best route to be able to lay that main. So that's the starting line. I'm thinking over the next couple of phases we're going to probably be installing that line. We're also going to be searching for grant opportunities through the MVP program and the hazard mitigation program, possibly to fund that. So that's a brief overview of some of the projects that we're planning within the Phase 19. Just to run through the streets that we're proposing to do the water main replacement on, we'd be doing Charlotte Street from New Boston Road to the President Ave. President Ave from Rock to Ellsbury. There are sections there where there's no main, we won't be replacing that. And it's multiple sizes through that whole area, all the way from 6 up to 12. Ray Street will be doing from New Boston Road to Hood. That's a 12-inch main. Rock Street will be doing from Prospect all the way to Bedford. That is that's a pretty long stretch there to get that area done, and that's mains varying all the way from 6 up to 16. So
Rock up to Prospect was already done.
yes,
Those are a few years ago. Half a dozen years ago.
Mr. Furlong, on New Boston Road,
President.
Yeah.
on New Boston Road in the vicinity of Phillip Street,
Yes.
as it goes to Northeastern Avenue, there's for years been hardly any drainage there. There's no draining receptacles. Is that being corrected?
So right now, so on Phillip Street, there's 5 catch basins within that intersection. Those probably came about over the years of the people observing that there's no catch basins. The problem is, which we used to have years ago, is they saw that there was a flooding area, they put in another catch basin, but they tied into a pipe that was overloaded.
Right.
So the pipe in the ground isn't big enough. Through the Crestbrook Drainage Project, they're actually working on it now. They started Monday. You'll see temporary lane closures on New Boston Road. So that's running from Northeastern Avenue all the way up to Phillip Street. There'll be new catch basins put in that whole intersection to be able to carry that water to Northeastern Avenue, out to the President Ave Rotary, then tie into the interceptor drain and down to South Watuppa. So that area should see a great improvement. The other thing in that area, there's a lot of runoff that comes from the housing project there that has a 36-inch drain that drains out the back into the Rotary and then out the Highland Brook area with some of the cleaning that we did within the swale that runs from the edge of the President Ave Rotary out to where it ties into Highland Brook. So that was additional work that the sewer department just had completed. That should increase the drainage in that area that comes out of that 36 as well. So that area will be fixed, the flooding.
With all the work that's been done from Northeastern Avenue all the way, well, to at least Locust Street, I believe, or right in that vicinity, are we going curb to curb when we re-blacktop that street?
So yeah, so the work on Northeastern Avenue went from President Ave Rotary all the way up to just shy of David Street. We're going to be doing on Northeastern Avenue southbound lane only, so that 2 lanes heading southbound, because we didn't affect the northbound travel lane with our sewer project, but that southbound travel lane will be curb to curb, milling and overlaying through that area.
Because right now it's patchwork.
Yeah, right now in the southbound lane, yes, you have just a temporary patch. We're planning by the fall that project should be completed. They're working on some of the swales now. They're working in the New Boston area, but we'll be doing New Boston, actually about 2 streets to the west of Phillip Street, so we're going a bit further because there's some bad areas in New Boston Road there, so we're working with the engineering department to go a bit further to include some of the bad areas they have there too. And then the northeastern Ave southbound travel lane all the way from the Rotary. Mass DOT has a plan. They're coming in the fall. From what I've been told, they're milling and overlaying Route 24, which will include that President Ave Rotary as well.
And all of the flowers, I see the grass is already growing on the Rotary.
Yes.
You're gonna replace the shrubbery and grass that was torn up?
So the shrubbery, we have a plan that Mass DOT approved for replacement of a couple of trees. A couple of the trees that were in that rotary were actually not a native species. They were more of a invasive that came in, and they didn't want them back. So we did have a full planting review done with Mass DOT. The only thing that we are adding from our original contract that the sewer division has is on the edge of the President Ave Rotary, where Wingold Street is. We're adding some additional shielding there. There was a large buffer of vegetation from those residents there, which was taken down because we needed to install the pipe over there. We will be adding in additional ones. And I have heard there is a new group that's planting hydrangeas throughout the city, and President Ave Rotary is supposed to be one of their project areas.
Very well. Any other questions?
Yeah, and is that lead services number correct? Almost 80 services now?
Yes.
Wow.
So that's what we have on our records.
That
correct.
takes a big chunk out of the.
Yeah,
I
so
think that's the most, maybe
Yeah.
for 10 phases almost. That's the most we've, by far, the most we've done in one single phase,
So
I think,
the
of
lead
why.
service list has been reduced from almost 5,000 down to about 750.
Yeah.
So we've made dramatic gains.
Big time.
yeah, and
It's good to see.
through our ACO, we need to do 7% per year, so that covers us for the.
Normally, we're
Yeah.
in the 30s,
Yep.
30, 40 max, I think.
Yeah, correct.
Whereabouts are we with, as a percentage of water main replacements throughout the city? Rather large number, I would assume.
Yeah, so like I said, we've done about 65 miles of main replacement so far, starting from phase one. We have about 40 or 45 miles of highly tuberculated mains left in the city. So we're 60% done or so of the tuberculated mains. The old cast iron mains in the city, so in the 70s, a lot of the large, we have over 210 miles of water main throughout the city. The large cast iron mains were cleaned and lined in the 70s and 80s. Those are still in service. They're not tuberculated like you see in the center photo up in this, the flow's not restricted. Whenever we cut into those cleaned and lined mains, they're in good condition, but the problem is we have the larger main, it's an old cast iron main. The cast iron doesn't have the same tensile strengths or compressive strengths as the new ductile iron, so that can sometimes be a bit weaker. It's tough to say. The tuberculated mains, we probably have about 40 miles left. We've replaced probably about 60% would be my estimate.
Just for the edification of the public, there's no connection between tuberculosis and a tuberculated man. I don't want that even to be a thought out there.
No, that's a trade term called tuberculite, which is built up. It's a buildup of minerals and rust and other debris that came off throughout the past 150
Could you actually hold
years.
that up so the camera can see it, that tuberculated piece?
I actually looked that up the last time we discussed it, because I didn't know the word either.
It comes up every year.
So this is a 6-inch cast iron main. You can see right around the edge here is where the cast iron main is. All this in the middle is what's called tuberculation.
Now, are these the ones that were installed back in 1875?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, so in 1875, the tuberculation wasn't there. It was a nice cast iron water main. But the tuberculation is actually layers of rust year after year after year. So the cast iron didn't have a cement liner to protect it,
Right.
so the water attacks the metals. The new ductile iron pipes have a cement liner which gives an interface between the metal and the water to protect it last long.
So when a pipe gets like that, is that not what the pressure creates a water main to burst? When a pipe gets that tuberculated?
No, so a burst would be created, a lot of the stuff that we see is either lateral fractural cracks caused from maybe some type of long-term settlement in the pipe, settling over a piece of ledge. The other type of pipe burst that we see would be a longitudinal, could be caused by a water hammer, air getting inside the system or something like that. It's very rare that you would actually see it where it eats through the pipe or anything like that. The tuberculation doesn't cause, it doesn't cause an increase in pressure or anything like that. It causes reduced volume and reduced flows within that main, but it doesn't overpressurize, doesn't change the pressure of the main.
So blasting it like they have been doing for a couple of years on the outer or the southern edge of the industrial park, did that create water mains to be disturbed?
So twice a year we do a hydrant flushing program. I don't know if that's what you're talking about. Yeah, so the hydrant flushing program, that doesn't cause any water mains to be burst. The hydrant flushing program, that's why whenever you see our guys operate a hydrant every year or two, and I just held the class about 3 weeks ago with all of our guys, so everybody's trained on the proper operation of a hydrant. When we open up the hydrant, we blast the hydrant, and it's called a hydrant cleaning program, but the actual purpose of that program is to clean the mains themselves. So it's actually to get the velocity of the water up inside the main over 5 feet per second, be able to scour the inside of that main and get any buildup out of that main, any mineral deposit or anything else that might have deposited within the main. When you close the hydrant, that's the only time that you have to be really careful. You have to close the hydrant very slow to make sure that you don't cause what's called this water hammer. I kind of describe it as you have a large freight train of water moving towards that hydrant. You have to slow it down very slowly. You can't just shut it right off because that'll make the pipes hammer and could blow something out.
But while you're speaking about the hydrant flushing program, we started today for our semi-annual hydrant flushing program. So over the next month and a half, they'll be going throughout the city. It was advertised in the newspaper on Sunday. And when we are flushing hydrants, residents can have rusty water because we're moving that water very, very quickly. We ask the residents if there's flushing in their area before they wash clothes, just check the water quality because you could have very short-term rusty water. And that semi-annual program is started today.
It's a good point. Anything else from the board members? Mr. Phil, the next item on the agenda.
We need a motion to approve the loan order for
Is
496.
there a motion to approve the loan?
Can I make a motion?
Second the motion?
Second.
Motion passes unanimous.
Next item on the agenda, we have land acquisition order, Copacut Road, lot W36.
It's 3 lots. Lots
Three.
3, lot 80, and lot 81.
Yep.
So we have Mike Labasi here today. In red is the land. This is towards the travelable section of Copacut Road, just before Quantapug. This is Quantapug coming up through here. There's houses through here. This land has come for sale, known as the Macoma property. Mr. Labasi has been interested in protecting it for a long time. It's all wooded. We're trying to avoid having more houses 500 feet away from our Copacut Reservoir. Tomorrow night, we're going back to the Community Preservation Committee. We're hoping and expecting that they'll approve $185,000 for that project. Mr. Labasi and I were there last week to discuss the project, and they sounded very supportive. Mr. Furl and Mr. Labasi have also gotten a grant from the state for drinking water protection up to $200,000. So we're expecting most of the costs to be covered by grants and to keep this area wooded to protect the Copacut Reservoir. Mr. Labasi is here if you have any specific question about the land itself. We do have a purchase and sale agreement With the Realtor for all three owners, it's subject to approval of this board and subject to approval of the city council. The acquisition price is $355,000, which we hope and expect to be covered by grants.
Mr. Labasi, you're to be commended for your work on this project along with Mr. Furlong.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to accept the proposal?
Almost.
Is there a second to the motion?
Yeah, so the only other thing that I would ask the board, if you could potentially make it so if there's any papers or anything that needs to be expedited to complete this transaction, if you do approve it, that you allow us, the administrative staff, to move forward with that. We are under some deadlines with these grants, so I just want to make sure we don't get...
The state drinking water grant requires us to close by June 30th.
Correct.
Just keep me
Oh, yeah, it's coming up.
apprised.
Yes.
The motion passed unanimous, I believe.
Yes.
Thank you, Mike.
The next item on the agenda will be the Phase 17 change order. This is a change order for Phase 17 water main replacement. That project's coming to a conclusion. These are some work that was done last year, Chicago Street and Stevens Street. There was a delay on a shutdown over in that area just due to the valving and valves that we had within the system didn't work. So we worked with the contractor to be able to get that area shut down. There was some additional 8-inch pipe that was to be installed on Center Street at South Main Street and also on Peckham Street area. So the change order total an amount of $57,827.13. Bisco Contracting Corp. is the contractor on this contract. Well, actually, it's interesting, the intersection of Center and South Main Street, that was one of the larger ones. That was a very difficult crossing where we had it, and it wasn't in the original plans. The plan showed our other water mains coming up further, but we ended up having to actually follow the existing path of the path of the existing main, which went through a telephone manhole. So it was interesting. There was no other path to get around that with the other utilities and ledge that was in the area.
I'm led to believe that sometimes some of these changes you just can't help.
Yeah, correct.
However, changes are a bugaboo with me, but
Especially the ones underground, referred to as unforeseen subsurface conditions when our engineers design it. It's based on the available plans that we have. Sometimes you open up the ground and things are there that weren't on the plans that are in the way that requires us to modify the construction in the field.
is there a motion to accept the change order as written?
Motion. Second.
Motion passes unanimous.
The next item on the agenda, you'll see a copy within your packet and also up on the board. There was an anonymous posting put up on a couple of telephone poles up by our water maintenance facility over at 1620 Bedford Street.
Stonehaven Road.
Yep, this is Stonehaven Road, Reservoir Street, Bedford Street. There's multiple telephone poles that had this sign taped to it. So this sign says that we're going to be building a new building for water maintenance, which we are. We've been very open with that. We've had the awards at all of our board meetings. It says that there's going to be environmental damage, which is a falsity. There's going to be that it's going to impact the neighbors. That's another false statement within this anonymous posting. So I wanted to bring this to the board's attention, just in case you hear anything or the public hears anything about this. Please, if anybody wants, feel free, give us a call. Myself or Terry are always open, Mr. Sullivan, we're always open to meet with any of the property owners, homeowners, or anybody in this area or any area that are having difficulties with either water or sewer.
And what we had always planned to do is, we don't have a design plan. We've hired an architect, we're working with him, but we don't have a design layout. When we have the design layout, Mr. Furlong was planning to notify the abutters and meet with them. will present the design here on television. We've talked about it before, so we're a little befuddled by the anonymous posting. It says to call the mayor's office, city council, and conservation commission. It doesn't say to call us. So
Right.
we spent some time, because some calls went to the mayor's office, but they thought we posted this up. We didn't know anything about it. So Mr. Furlan found these anonymous postings. We just ask anybody in the neighborhood, feel free to call the water department. We'll come to your house. You can come to 1620 Bedford. You can come here. We'll discuss what we're planning to do. When we do have a design, we're planning to present it here at an open public meeting. We're planning to offer the neighbors a meeting with us to go through it. We're planning to create a buffer area for the new building, so we're not affecting the neighbors. We're planning to make the access into the property better than it is now and more secure. So it's just unfortunate that there was an anonymous posting, that the person didn't call us. We asked any of the area residents to call Mr. Furlan or myself if they have questions. We'll be happy to meet with them. Once we have a design layout of where we're going to build a building behind our existing building. We're going to leave a tree buffer with the neighborhoods, with the neighbors. We're going to make access better. Once we have that design actually laid out, we'll present it to you and we'll present it to the neighbors. So we just wanted to bring it to your attention. We don't need a vote, just that there was an anonymous posting that caused, wasted some of our time trying to chase down what it was. We don't know who it was, but we just asked if the neighbors have concerns.
Did you get a lot of phone calls from it?
I think there was at least one to the mayor's office. that I'm aware of.
Yeah, correct, there was one to the mayor's office, one of the neighbors right over there, and she says, oh, I saw the sign that you guys put up, and it was a bit confusing. They
Yeah, 'cause
didn't
we
put
didn't
any
put it
sign
up.
up.
So the neighbors thought we put it up, wasn't the one that called.
Which we would never do in the first place.
Yeah, and I spoke to the lady, and she was very, very nice, explained it to her, and she was fine with what we were planning, so.
So we don't need a motion, this was just an informational matter.
Thank you for that. Next item on the agenda, please.
Item number 9, contract updates. So within your packet, you had one from Weston and Sampson, and then on the table in front of you, I also provided you one for Stantec for the Phase 17 contract. So what I'm going to try to do in the future, I know I mentioned it last meeting, you'll see an item now on here, contract updates. There'll be any ongoing contracts, just an update. This is kind of standardized format that I'll probably be using moving forward. Goes through the project, lays out the engineer's costs, the contractor's costs, where we are, how much we've spent to date, change orders and stuff like that. So just to give you an update, in this section you may also see additional contracts that don't need to come to the board, but we just want to make you aware of that are under those thresholds that need to come to the board. So again, this is more of an informational thing. It's also going to list out any potential change orders that we see coming up within the projects. So feel free to take a look at these, ask any questions as you feel needed. So.
Are there any questions?
No.
Just a little note, again, we're moving forward within your packet. You saw the one for the water meter project. We're moving forward with the water meter replacement project. The contractor has been going through replacing the AMRs, which is the gray box on the side of the house. You'll see on the right there. They haven't started to install any of the meters on the internal building, which is on the left there. That's a residential Neptune meter. They have not started to replace any of those yet, so they are still working on the outside of the building, and they are not asking customers to enter the houses. The next slide, you'll see what one of the typical servicemen looks like. USI Services, also Thelch Engineering, or WMS Water Management Services, which is a division of Thelch, is a company that's out there. Thelch WMS is taking care of large meter replacements. USI under Thelch is taking care of the AMR, the box on the side of the house, and the internal water meter replacements. So they're currently working in the center area of the city, down towards the river, kind of on the west side of the city. and they're heading north now. So we have had, through the project, we have had a couple of minor complaints from residents or people in that area, but you know, somebody coming into their house, but people have heard about the project, and it's usually not an issue.
So we would not send anybody inside a house without notification or an appointment.
Correct.
But the boxes on the outside, which is just to take that one off, put a new one on, they're doing that repeatedly through hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of properties. So they are not making an appointment for that. By law, we have the right just to go in and pull that box out. But a few customers have been concerned. They've called us and we've told them that's part of the ongoing project. So we try to repeat this at these public meetings. So customers know if one of these companies is going in just to the outside to pull a box off, put it on, it's authorized by us. We've now given them a handout if customers have any questions. It's got our information on it explaining what the program is. If we are going to forward and have to go into the house for replacement, the customer will be notified beforehand and scheduled for that, the outside box that you just put on.
Yep. So just an update on that project again, just to try to get the word out there, so if people do see, feel free, give us a call, we'll explain it to you, make sure it's safe, but there are people out there replacing meters on the sides of the houses.
Next item on the agenda?
That would be item number 10, which is the FY20 budgets and rates.
So we have proposed a budget of $13,367,976. We have proposed a small rate increase of 10 cents from $3.14 per 100 cubic feet to $3.24. To keep that rate increase low, we have utilized free cash in our revenue line item of $440,000. So a rate increase of 10 cents to the average family that utilizes 109 gallons per day means an additional cost per year of $5.30. The Sewer Commission earlier this evening also approved a 10 cents rate increase to the sewer rate, similar impact of $5.30 per year. So if you add those two together, average family is impacted by $10.60 per year, or 88 cents a month. So we've worked hard to minimize the rate increase by using available free cash. Tonight, I would ask the board for two votes, one to approve the proposed budget and one to approve the rate increase as per the ordinance I submitted in your package. Are there any questions that we have to answer?
Any comments? Is there a motion to, first to accept the proposed budget?
I'll motion.
Second.
That motion is unanimous. The second motion would be for the proposed rate increase. Is there a motion?
I'll motion.
Second.
That rate increase is unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Sullivan.
Item number 11 would be equipment acquisition. Typically something like this with broken up individually doesn't come in front of the board with the total acquisition that we're going forward with. I just felt it appropriate to come in front of the board. This is equipment that's going to be used down in for maintenance of some of our lands. It'll be under the control of Michael Bossier for his use out in the reservation area. Also down on the property that we have to maintain off of Jefferson Street. So within this we have a Kubota tractor, some attachments for those Kubotas, a small utility vehicle with a plow, a couple of different mowers and some smaller equipment as well. The total acquisition amount is $89,434. All of this equipment is being purchased off of the state bid list, which doesn't require us to go out to bid because it's already guaranteed pricing from the state bid list.
Are we getting any help on this with grants?
With this equipment purchase, no, we're not getting any grant
It's under
funding.
authorized funding within the Jefferson Street acquisition. We had included contingent funds for equipment acquisition to maintain that property. but the equipment could also be used in the reservation as well.
So all of this was considered when you were formulating your budget?
Yeah, these are previously authorized funds by the water board and by the city council.
I just wanted to make that clear. Is there a motion to accept?
I'll motion.
Set?
Motion passes unanimous.
Item number 12 would be other business.
Under other business, if we could, can we go over that interceptor drain? I just want to say it's coming along nice. I see it every day. I get a couple of phone calls every once in a while. Why is the gate left open? But it's because of the size of the trucks. Kind of hard to turn around on a one-lane road. It's understandable. I've called Mike on it a couple of times, at night especially. And I think one of our gates has been damaged to a certain extent. Nothing that can't be fixed with a welder.
Wait till the project's over, repair.
Okay.
So just to describe that a little, we know what it is, but for the public, we have a 2-mile interceptor drain built in 1915 that's adjacent to Route 24 on the east side. Because there was pig farm waste in 1915 going into our drinking water supply, this drain was constructed for 2 miles to take that waste to protect the North Watuppa Pond and deliver it to the South Watuppa Pond. We no longer have such waste, but we have a lot of stormwater drainage, both the highway and the eastern side of the city, as well as 3 streams coming into that, Crest Brook, Terry Brook, and Highland Brook, all come into that drain. There was, in 1915, an adjacent road for access built along it. And over the years, the tree vegetation has built up against the drain is open, it's concrete walls with the bottom, and the tree roots were growing into the walls, which eventually would have destroyed them. So under our Crest Brook drainage project in the sewer division, we included both removing the vegetation on 20 feet on either side of the drain, and the contractor is also going to clean out outside the drain. I bring up that detail because I've had a number of phone calls, people driving along Route 24 thinking we're building a new road, we're logging through the reservation. It's really just maintenance to make sure that interceptor drain has another 100 years of life, that we have the access road is maintained so we can get in, and we're getting the invert of that pipe cleaned all the way through. So it's actually a fantastic project, but the public driving by Route 24 just thinks new things were being built. It's not. It's really maintenance of the existing infrastructure.
I might add, the project's coming along pretty nice. Looks good.
Thank you.
If there is no other business, is there a motion to adjourn?
Your motion adjourned?
Motion seconded. Watuppa Water Board is adjourned.